Yo, this is Steve Bloom, and you're watching Moana Nui Podcast. We'll be starting soon. Don't go anywhere.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight's podcast. We're very excited about tonight's podcast. But before we get started, for those that may or may not know me, I am Dana, the other half of the Moana Nui Podcast. My other half will be joining shortly, but let me, of course, introduce myself. I am a event, cosplay, and con staff photographer. I photograph for conventions such as DragonCon, MomoCon, Anime Week in Atlanta, and much more. I'm also an event planner, voice actor, and the list goes on. Of course, tonight, as I mentioned, we're having a very special panel going on tonight in partnership with HBCUCon. If you're not familiar with HBCUCon, definitely don't sleep on it. You'll see it in the banner. HBCUCon is a con coming up at the end of April in the DMV area. You can go to the link in the bottom, in the banner at the bottom, www.hbcucon.org. You can get your ticket, or you can contact them if you're interested in being a sponsor of the event. You can also follow HBCUCon on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at HBCUCon. Now, of course, as I mentioned, we're very excited about today's panel. With this partnership with HBCUCon, we have 4 special guests that is going to be a part of this panel. Our first guest, who is going to be our moderator, she is CC the Geek, is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a cosplayer from Washington, D.C. Her activist work extends as far back as 2007 as a volunteer in the Hurricane Katrina relief efforts. She subsequently founded the Alternative Spring Break program at her alma mater, Bowie State University. Cece takes pride in using her platform to create safe spaces for Black and other marginalized cosplayers. She is the founder and CEO of HBCUCon, celebrating the influence and intersections of historically Black institutions and the geek community. She's also a co host for Everybody Gets One podcast and a consultant for hire. That's probably changed now because she's got a new gig. She has been cosplaying since 2015 and a proud member of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So I'm going to bring Cece to the front. Hello, Cece.
Oh, thank you, Dana. I appreciate that. That's such a wonderful introduction. I appreciate you.
You're very welcome. And of course, our next panelist, Regine L. Sawyer, is the owner, writer of Lockett Productions, a small press comic book company specializing in cutting edge sci-fi, horror, and action comics. She is also the coordinator and founder of the Women in Comics Collective International, an organization serving to highlight the merit and craft work of marginalized people, especially that of women and non-binary folks of color. You can definitely check out her business of lockdown production at lockdown.com, and also Women in Collective at womenincollective.org. So let me bring Regine up. Welcome, Regine.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
Thank you for being part of today's panel. And then our next panelist is Erica Harrison, is a journalist, writer, publisher of Fabulous Magazine, the first print and digital for Black feminist nerds. And that's just a short description of everything that she does.
Yes.
Her work has been featured in Huffington Post, Publishers Weekly, Flickering Myth, book riot, and more. Her debut comic, Entanglement, is part of the Noir is the new black graphic novel anthology available now. You can follow Fabulous Magazine on IG and Twitter at Fabulous Mag, or you could go to their website at fabulousmag.com. Let me welcome Erica Hartson. Welcome, Erica.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being
Hey
part of the show.
everybody.
Hello,
Hey,
hello.
girl.
I know she is multitasking as being the juggler that she is. So she is not going to be on video, but you're going to hear her lovely voice. And last but not least is the other half of the Moana Nui podcast, my yin to my yang, the Renaissance woman of our time. She is a comic book writer. She's an editor for her comic book series, Wildcard Chronicles. She is a children's book author, that she has children books out there. So if you like that, look for Nohoa and Nehea children's book series. She's about to release her second book for that series. She is also basically like I said, a Renaissance woman, Wonder Woman, of carrying many hats at this time. And like I said, she's the other half of the Moana Nui podcast. My sis, Moana. Hello.
Yes. Hey,
Thank you.
ladies, how are you?
Hey.
Hello. Thank you, everybody, for being part of the panel. I'm going to now hand it over to Cece to start this amazing conversation. So, Cece, I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dana. And thank you so much to Moana and the Moana Nui podcast. It's just always an honor and privilege to be in fellowship with you both. And of course, Regine and Erica, thank you. Much love to y'all up in New York. Yes. Well, New York-ish. But I know, and then love to Chicago, because I know Erica hails from Chicago and will always claim Chicago forever.
Chicago forever.
Yes. But before I begin, let me give just a brief description of what She Saves the Day is all about, and what we're here to talk about today. So, women of all walks of life have been a vital force in saving the world in the geek community and beyond. We are experiencing a significant cultural shift in which the representations of women in comics, anime, gaming, science fiction, afrofuturism, speculative fiction, and fantasy are perhaps more, and journalism, I need to add that, are perhaps more diverse than they have ever been. Yet, we are still too often reduced to the damsel in distress, incapable of facilitating our own salvation, simultaneously burdened with the salvation and sacrifice for others. This panel explores and celebrates the contributions of women throughout the geek community, including academia, pop culture, the creative arts, technology, and more. And yeah, that's pretty much what we're here to talk about today. And of course, I am your moderator, CC the Geek. Shauna Lawson, founder and CEO of HBCUCon. But let's just dive right in, because I know we don't have a lot of time. So, let me go back to the questions here. So this is a question I always love to ask. What is your niche or your passion? And specifically as it pertains to like the geek community, but you can expound on that a little bit. And let's start with Moana.
Let's see, my niche or my passion. Well, for me, regardless of what space I'm in, I just really am fed by helping other people. And for me, like, this podcast is one of the ways that I I feel like I'm helping. I want to uplift voices that, there's not a lot of platforms that kind of focus in on our communities. I know, because as a creator and an author, we're always seeking out, those opportunities to find other organizations to be in alignment with, who can help us share a platform. And it's a real struggle, to find them. And sometimes even when you do find them, they match up with everything that you're doing. They don't, for some reason, it just doesn't fall in their criteria. Whether that's intentional or not, however that plays out. it's an issue. And so, like that was a big catalyst for why I wanted to start this platform, why I wanted to seek out other indie creatives in our community, and kind of help us to build, one, the community in and of itself, and two, a platform that people can come to and get, the types of content that they say they want, and allowing them to, both the audience and the creators to have a space where we can share it authentically and have like really very real and frank conversations, because some of these other ones, it's always like, I don't know, it's just too, what am I saying, I don't know, it's just not for us is what, it's what I'm saying. So yeah, that's my spiel on that one.
I love it. All right, let's do Regine.
I have a few passions. I think I'm similar to Moana in the sense that, I really am passionate about helping people, especially folks of color, Black women and femmes in particular, because oftentimes people don't realize like how much support we need. Like folks will see us and be like, oh, you a strong Black woman, you got this. And it's like, I may quote unquote have this, but I could use some help. Like I could use some assistance.
Yeah.
And it gets kind of tiresome when at some point along the way, even if you have well-meaning people around you, that everything falls on your shoulders. So I am definitely passionate about helping us in that way. Like, okay, you have a hand. If you need something, somebody is truly here for you. That we're not going to drop the bag, and we're going to hold the bag together, and we're going to disperse, the contents of everything to other people from that bag. I'm also passionate about writing comics. Like I love to write comics. Even though even when I'm like in between projects and whatnot, my work is always in my head. It lives there. This is the house. Like this is the house where everything lives, and characters are always there having their conversations in my brain. So it is definitely one of my greatest loves. And so to combine those two, is brings forth my love of creating events that are for the comic book community, specifically for folks of color, and for us to come together and enjoy our hobby, our profession together, in that space, and making sure that space is safe. So those are my loves. Those are my passions.
Oh, that's right. Miss Erica Hardison, what is your niche or your passion?
Well, my passion is to be a disruptor. I try to use my platform to highlight, Black creatives, specifically, women in films, as much as possible. And, when I get on panels with men, I challenge them. I challenge everybody at every time as much as possible. And I'm okay with being the bad guy in that case, because I feel like, especially in comics, Black women, Black artists, illustrators, letterers, they don't get the same love. When I read these articles and they talk about indie comics, Black comics, it's usually maybe like the same people all the time. And I ask the same people, like, hey, why, would it hurt you to shout out another Black woman? Like, and I try to elevate the work of Black people as much as possible, whether it's books, small businesses, comics. I just feel like that is something that I just am proud to do, and I've been doing, and I hope to continue to do it as much as possible in every platform, every avenue that I'm given. As far as my passions and my niche,
Mhm.
I talk to Black people. You know, that's it. Like anything I write, no matter where it is, whether it's on Huffington Post or whatever, I'm writing to Black people.
Mm,
Um, despite the platform it might be on.
right.
As far as I'm not as good as writing comics as AG is, but I love comic strips, and
Yeah.
I would love the opportunity to explore slice of life comic strips. I think that's something I can handle.
That's right.
Writing a few panels for that. I'm definitely exploring short stories. I was in a few months ago. I was a runner up for the Black emerging sci-fi stories with Analog Magazine. So I am exploring that a little bit more, and hopefully I will land in another anthology pretty soon. So that's really my niche, and again, just giving other people a platform as much as I can, and using other people's platforms to bring people behind me.
Hmm. I know that's right. I know that's right. Very Toni Morrison energy. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. So I was just writing down some of the things you all were saying, and some of the things that stuck out to me from Moana was uplifting, the word uplift, and of course specifically people of color, indigenous, Black people of color, all and voices, marginalized voices, and then for you, Regine, it was helping, helping people, Black and POC voices. And then Erica, what I got from you was being a disruptor and highlighting, particularly highlighting Black women in comics, film, and literature. So that's pretty cool. That's essentially why I brought you all here today, because I feel like we have a very well-rounded group of women, but we're all kind of on the same wavelength in that sense. So yeah, just honored to be in everyone's presence. Let me get to the next question. I'm kind of like jumping around. Well, let's do something fun real quick. What are your fandoms? And we can go in the same order, or whoever wants to jump in. Fandoms.
Well, I like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
I am a big fan of Sonic and Sailor Moon.
Okay.
Low key, but not really low key, Agresuko.
Okay.
What else am I fans of? X-Men, of course. Really low key kind of obsessed with Jessica Jones right now. I like the whole I like noir crime street, mysteries.
Okay.
And I feel like we need more women street heroes, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody doesn't have to have we have like alien powers or like these super, powers. Like I like the idea of women with like super strength, like kicking ass on the streets, like beat up the burglar, beat up the guy who keep catcalling people, like like beat up the regular people on a day-to-day basis. Like that's a hero to me. So that I'm trying to see what else.
You need some Wild Card Chronicles in your
I was
life.
just thinking the same thing. Oh God. Oh my gosh. And then I was thinking, do you like Sin City?
Yes.
I feel like
I've
Sin
never
City would be
seen
your
it. I've
jam.
never seen it.
You should.
I'm
Yeah.
also a fan of Archie comics. That's kind of like my
Okay.
beginning into comics was Archie, going to the supermarket and having my grandma buy me those little comic art digests.
I know we even got baby girl excited. But yeah, shout out to Wild Card Chronicles. You definitely should read that. You definitely should watch Sin City. I feel like you would love, especially the first one. Oh my God, what Rosario Dawson, her performance is, oh my gosh, it's perfect. It's perfect. So yeah, before I start fangirling over that, anybody else want to volunteer over their fandoms?
I have like so many, so it's hard
I
for me
know.
to even say I have a fandom.
Well, that's why it's got an S at the end, so you can
yeah. Like I guess the series that like I really love are older now, but like it's timeless to me, which is Lord of the Rings. You know, like fantasy, sci-fi, you know, those kinds of things. X-Men, obviously from comics. I'm not up to date on like the recent runs, but like the, you know, back in the 90s and, you know, that kind of version, I still, to this day, like I love that. Harry Potter, so like a little bit of like kid kind of stuff in me. That's, you know, that's my way of like connecting to my childhood still. Sons of Anarchy, obviously, you know, like that's a lot of Wildcard Chronicles has a lot of that influence in there. Recently, I've been watching Bridgerton, which is and then another show called Yellowstone that John kind of got me into, Nuri, which is pretty dope. It's kind of like, you know, people getting beat up like Erica Won, but like Western country setting. But yeah, it's pretty dope. There's a lot of, as a business person, it's a great series to watch because you see the struggle between the indigenous lands and the ranchers and, you know, all those kinds of things, and the businesses that are trying to encroach and develop and, you know, essentially wipe out the indigenous culture. So
yeah, for real. I didn't, when you said Bridgerton, I was like, what? Because that's kind of off the beaten path for you, you know. You usually like the linear stuff like Erica.
I like a lot of different things. So it's just the ones that come to mind right now.
Yeah. And I know you like space stuff like Star Wars and, you know.
Yes, I do. Yes, thank you. I forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot. Yes, I'm definitely a Trekkie.
Oh, really? Oh, we got Trekkie. We got Star Wars in the house. Okay, good. So my mom, first of all, my dad's a Star Wars fan. He loves Darth Vader, and my mom named me after Star Trek. But I'll get to that in a minute. I want Regine to answer her question.
I'm a big wrestling fan. Like I love WWE. I love AEW. My favorite wrestler is Roman Reigns. That's my baby father. Okay, don't tell his wife. Okay, like facts. If anyone knows, like this weekend is WrestleMania weekend. Don't call me. Like I. Okay. No, you can call. You can text. No, I'm gonna be watching wrestling. Yeah, NXT. Yes. I love Bleach. Bleach is my favorite manga and my favorite anime series. I love Bleach. I love Bleach so much. I also am a X-Men fan, particularly of the Claremont run. I'm not up to date either on the newer books, and one of these days I really have to pick up some books. I'm also a huge Grimm fan on the TV show. I love Grimm. That was my show. When it went off air, I was crying. Like I love that show. It's so good. Also, there's a new series. I think season 3 is coming out. It's called Evil.
Okay.
And that's on the Paramount channel. It was originally on CBS. Like it's awesome. It's supernatural, paranormal, all of that. And it's funny because they tape in my neighborhood. So it's funny like seeing like the landmarks, like where were y'all? Like where were y'all in Queens? Like what's going on? Like, what's going on? What are the things I need to know about? So those are some of my fandoms.
That's what's up. It's so funny. I'll never forget when I first like actually got to go to Queens and see what it was like. And I was like, oh, it's just like Spider-Man. Like this is exactly what it is. All the little houses, it's like the little burbs, but it's a borough.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, shout out to Queens. And just so everyone knows, my mom named me after Shauna of Triskelion from the original Star Trek series. She was in one episode, I think. She had green hair and wore this really like weird metallic outfit, and they had collars around their necks, and they weren't like allowed to show like a lot of emotion. And we can kind of tap into that a little bit too, because they kind of saw like emotions as the source of all your problems, whether it was good or bad. You know what I'm saying? So like if you were overly happy and elated, you got kind of zinged for that, or any signs of like frustration, but woody woo. But anyway, yeah, that's my mom named me after. So, but I'm loving how everyone's like tapped into all the fandoms. Like everyone pretty much, we covered all the bases.
That explanation, Shauna, is kind of like the storyline for Far Sector in K. Jemison. Yeah.
What? All right, we're gonna have to talk. We gotta talk later. I'm with it though. Definitely gotta have a conversation with my mom too. Okay. Yeah, let's do this one. So I'll say, what challenges have you had? Well, no, before I tap into that. So, but you can speak to it if you want, since I already opened Pandora's box. How did you find your place in this community? So you all pretty much have talked about like what you guys do, but how did you get there? How did you decide one day, like, oh, I'm gonna write a book, or oh, I'm gonna do this? And what did that process look like in a nutshell?
My biggest challenges are men and white people and anti-Blackness. I'm serious. Those are the biggest challenges.
I feel it.
I came up with the idea of having a website and publishing a publication is because I love the medium of magazines. Like I'm obsessed with it. Like when I was younger, I would take my allowance, and every month I would buy the 17, the Source, Double XL, Rap Pages, Vibe, like spend all my money on magazines because I love the medium. And there's not enough Black magazines. Like even if 100 people tomorrow decided to be a Black publisher and release a magazine, that still would not be enough. Because when you go into a Barnes and Nobles, like you go into a supermarket and you look at magazines, there's 500 magazines and maybe 1, 2, 3, 5, maybe 10 if you go international, might be Black censoring. And I feel like that's not enough. There could be 100 Black magazines, but they'll tell you, oh, there's an Essence already, but no one ever tells you there's a Vogue already. You don't need to start a fashion magazine, So I created it because I guess I want to say I had the foresight that I will be disgruntled. A disgruntled journalist in the future, to the point where I would not. There's some things I want to talk about that I don't want to put in the New York Times. There's some things I want to say that I don't want to trust a white editor to edit my words and what I'm trying to convey to an audience. So I have it so I can speak my mind freely. And I use it so other people could use it. Other writers who have something to say and they feel like they want to talk directly to Black people. So that was my motivation.
Yeah, I feel that. That was something that I encountered a lot when I was like tabling, and on behalf of HBCUCon, people immediately started comparing me to other Black conventions, and they're like, "Well, why are we having this one? Like, why do we need another one?" I'm like, "Why not? Like, why not? What's wrong with that?" You know what I mean? Like, all these other conventions, like no one, when CatsaCon came around, it was like, well, we already got Otakon. Like nobody said that. Nobody's gonna say that. It would be, I mean, if they did, they would kind of look at you weird. Like, nah, why not CatsaCon? Why not? So that was kind of my whole thing. So I feel you on that. The disparity, people kind of are just so normalized that, when we get the one, like, oh, we got our Black president, you good. Like, there's like 43 other white guys, so yeah, I feel that in my spirit, Erica. Shout out to you for that. So who wants to chime in? How did you find your place in this community?
I can jump in next. So I think one of my biggest challenges is that, like, I am a minority in a minority, right? Like, so you have AAPI, but when you look at it, it's mostly AA and not a lot of PI or NH. For the Native Hawaiian is a new thing, which is great, but it's this really weird space to be in because you're not enough of anything to really get a lot of momentum behind you. You know, I naturally obviously gravitate towards the Black community because it is an underrepresented one, a marginalized one. A lot of similar histories and treatments, due to colonization. A lot, I see a lot of the commonalities in Indigenous peoples, Asian peoples, Native American peoples, all of those things, because I'm also a pretty well-traveled woman, across the planet, really. Like, I've been to so many different places, and I see a lot of the common threads. But then, like, I can see, the effects where the colorism comes into play. I was in London, was it 2 weeks ago now? And I just really got bad rubs from Indian people there. And I'm like, what is this? Like, I'm like, we're brown. Like, they just like really had this like air about them. And I'm like, this is the colonization I'm talking about, like right here, But anyway, back to like my struggle and, finding the community is like, there's not a lot of Native Hawaiians or people that, because of the nature of our communities, like it's really tough for folks to leave the islands. Now it's becoming like a necessity because they're essentially forcing us out with economics. But, so it was really hard for me to find community, and it's still like very much in pockets, but I didn't want to let that be like a deterrent, like I really try to focus more on like, what are the similarities? Who can I be in alignment with? Like, who has similar missions? Who's trying to, drive forward the change, and how can we work together to do that? It's obviously a work in progress. It's always going to be a work in progress. But I just really, I'm not the type to like sit on my butt and complain. That's not in me, right? Like, I can have complaints, I can vent and everything, but like, I want to focus on the actions that I can take to bring about the change that I want to see. Is it going to happen at the pace that I want to? Nope, because of like all of the systemic things, right? But I still, at the very least, want to be out there showing other people, little other Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders that are coming up behind me, like, no, you can have a place here too. Even if you don't see yourself, like, you can do it. It's really like the only obstacle. Well, there's the economics, obviously, but like, there's nobody outside, like that is really keeping you from doing it. You just have to be smarter about how you approach it. And, like I said, back to alignment, be in alignment with the right people who are there for the right reasons, and who kind of, to Regine's point earlier, like I know a lot of people view me as a strong woman, and I am, but very much the same. Like, I still need help, guys. Like, let's check on our strong friends, like we be out here like taking it on the chin every single day, whether it's in our creative lives or in our day jobs in the corporate world, or, whatever our career is. It is a challenge. And there are days when, like, as strong as I am, I just want to throw my hands up and be like, I'm tired, like I can't do it. But, I got to find, something within me or within my community, like, hey, pick me up, like, distract me, help me think about something happy or, a good thing right now. Because all I see is, like the challenges. So it's good to know the challenges, but it's also super helpful to have a great community around you.
Facts. That was real. I felt that. I'm like, dang, I need to call Moana more often.
It's not a pity cry. It's just, I just want people to know that, like, that's the reality, like.
Yeah. But it's like, I remember when we used to see each other once a week, and I miss those conversations. It's real, and you realize how much you took things like that for granted when you had the opportunity to do that type of stuff, and life wasn't so crazy. Yeah. Oh, that was cool, man. All right, Regine, you up?
Always feel like I have to take a pause. I I've been doing this for a while, so I've had like a lot of varied challenges, and I would say, like within the last 8 months, like one of the challenges that I've been noticing and have been vocal about is being on projects and not being listened to. Like my words and my opinions not being trusted because I'm a woman. I'm a Black woman. And so when I'm on these projects, the folks that I'm talking about, they're men. Cis men. And when I'm giving just opinions about the project, just in terms of where it should go, and I'm being hired because I'm a woman, because I'm a Black woman, because a project has a Black female lead character. It's like, okay, let's give this character credence by putting a Black woman on it.
Right.
Because if you don't, you look ridiculous.
Right.
So initially, that's partially why I'm being hired. And the other part is like, okay, she writes comics, all right. And so here I am in this position. But when I'm telling you, this is how a lot of Black women respond and react to various things, and not being believed when I express that, just as an opinion, but also as I'm writing scripts and such. And then I have to sit there and fight and not even negotiate. Because someone said negotiate. I was like, well, no, I don't negotiate. Not like that. Not like that when it comes to, being a Black woman, having friends that are Black women, and us having various different experiences, but they always coincide, always run in alignment. So if you want me to write about a character's hair, you want me to write about characters having conversations and it being sort of like a cultural conversation, the nuances of being that, and then you don't believe me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it can't be. And then I have to fight with you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why the fight? Why the mistrust? But I do it because I know that there's going to be someone that comes in behind me that is going to be dealing with an individual.
Yep.
And I don't want them dealing with that. So I just be as vocal as I can be, and ad nauseum, because at this point I'm just like, there's certain work that I can't accept if I'm going to be treated a certain way. I can't. But I also have to say like why I can't do this, because this is not a project you really want me to be on. You want to write this, but you want a token to front it, and I refuse. And we all need to work, but I'm not compromising my principles, and I'm mindful that someone has to come in behind me. So there have been jobs that I've had to say no to.
Yeah.
And then also folks kind of know who me and my personality, they know who I am. So once they start saying certain things like, oh no, this is not gonna fly with you, huh? I'm like, no, it's not. Like, no. And it's like, yes, like I need the work, I require the work or what have you, but I have said no. I have said no. And I've also have said yes, and then had to, say whatever it needed to be said.
Yeah.
And called it a day. So that's my 2 cents in regards to.
I know that's right. We actually lead right into our next question. So I want to get Erica and Moana's 2 cents on like what are the challenges you all face and stuff. But before that, I do want to read some of the folks' comments. But you really like hit on something that hit home for me personally, and I'm sure it actually hits personally for everybody here, because it almost seems like a rite of passage in the worst way. Like something that we all kind of go through, where you're brought on for an assignment, and it's everything that you didn't bargain for, and it's like, why do you even hire me if you don't want to listen to me and take, let me do my job, basically. But it's like that you were placed there to save face, and you were placed there to like check a box so that they could say, oh well, we got our puppet here or whatever. So, you know. But then at the end of the day, it's like it's your name that's on that thing, that's on that
Exactly.
project.
And if something goes sideways,
Exactly.
Like, well, she wrote it.
Exactly. And they're going to be looking at you because you're the person, you're the Black or Indigenous woman who signed off on this thing, you know.
And I take that very seriously. Yeah.
And that's like the best case scenario of like things that we deal with. And then it's like worst case, we're disappearing and dying, you know, and then no one's batting an eye, you know, no one's really like saying anything, or there's all this protest and uproar and then nothing's ever done about it. It's mind-boggling to me how it's almost dystopian to me, quite frankly. But yeah, before I get Moana and Erica's input.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's this habit. There's this habit I've seen of like organizations, companies, brands. They love to bring on Black and Indigenous women specifically when the ship is already sinking.
Yes.
So
sure
you know, we're like the cleanup people. And, you know, if things go further left, it's because, they tried the diversity hiring and it didn't work. And if it does work, you're expected to do more labor than what you signed up for. So, you know, being that I was a diversity hire for a marketing company before, it did not feel good. It actually breaks people's spirits. Like when you finally put the pieces together, like I'm not here because they think I'm smart. I'm not here because they value my opinion or my experience. I'm here to fill a quota so they can like not get dragged on the internet when they post their, you know, company meetings and people looking for brown faces.
Yep. That's so real. That's real. Moana, you want to go ahead, or Eric? I don't know if you had anything else left to say. I'm like, we already in deep now on this, so.
No, yeah, I mean, I definitely see that and experience that, you know, in my own daily job, you know, my main job, you know, and I've kind of worked myself into a leadership position now, so. I still do find myself doing cleanup crew, doing more than everybody else is doing, like, and it's tough for me because like I have a great work ethic, so it's hard for me to turn it off when I need to, because I can't stand incompetence around me. So like it's a reflection on me, especially if I'm like in the lead, right? So but yeah, it is still a very significant and widespread problem. I was actually in a meeting with one of our seniors today, and we were dealing with a concern that was brought up by another, she's Asian, so a concern that was brought up to him, white male, about something that was said, and which essentially alienated her in a conversation. I don't think he did it intentionally, but I still felt like he needed to know about it.
Right.
And he made his comment, he said, either she has a high regard of herself or she has low self-esteem. And my first thought was like, would you say this to anyone else? Like to any white man, if they brought something to you? No, you would like address it, or like whatever, you guys would deal with it, right? But like, it's that minimizing kind of default that like irritates me. And it's hard because you can't really explain it to them because they're not the ones who have to deal with this shit every single day. So they can never really see our perspective, right?
Yes.
But it's really hard to kind of like navigate that in that space, because I'm like, okay, how do I educate, you know? And a lot of times it's the people above us that need to be educated, but while still being respectful, right? So I don't know. I see this on the constant, and I don't know if it's like like lately it just seems like it's every day, and it's every, you know, every people of color, every woman of color, you know, every damn thing, and I'm like, you know, how do I stop from being grumpy at these people, you know, like how do I influence them correctly? And some of them you just can't, you know, like it's just something that you got to deal with, take it on the chin, whatever, you know. But I don't know, man, it's tough out here in these streets.
It is. It is. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Shout out to Kimberly Crenshaw, intersectionality. It's just I love that like whole that whole school of thought, if you will, because it taps into so much of all of, you know, our lived experiences and what women who are like us experience every day. You know, whether it's microaggressions, like, you know, your coworker experienced, or if it's, you know, absolute violence. I mean, what is violence? You know, violence is subjective and it's levels to it, right?
Yes.
So, yeah. I think we have enough time for one more question. Before I do, I want to read some of the comments that we got here. There's absolutely a glaring lack of support in the comic industry as a whole. More people platforms need to do what podcast shows like this is doing. Crypto Comics and Peter Sameti's streams do and support those unheard. Okay. What's up, Javon Stoked Up Podcast? Hawaiian MMA fighter Angela Lee just became the ONE FC atom weight champ. That's what's up.
That's dope.
Yeah. Shout out to her. Yeah. Kicking ass, literally.
Yes. Kick
Just
all
what,
the ass.
yeah, just what y'all ordered. Just what the doctors ordered. All right. Let me see here. Here's a good question to end off of. Well, damn, I got two good ones. Okay. You know, all right, we'll do this one. What advice would you give to your younger self? And actually it kind of ties into the other one too. How did you become the hero of your story? What advice would you give to your younger self?
I think for me, keeping it very simple is trust your voice. Stop doubting yourself. Like, stop looking for the answers, you know, and everybody else. Like, it's good to keep, you know, be self-aware and, you know, listen to differing perspectives and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, take the stuff that serves you and throw out everything else and trust yourself at the end of the day.
Oh, that's right. Whoever wants to jump in.
That's a really good question. It's also a loaded question for me because sometimes when I have like my depression episodes, I relive my younger self in my mind, and I sometimes am overwhelmed with guilt of old decisions and past decisions that I made. And I'm like, you know, I wish I would have did this when I was 21. I wish I would have did this when I was 25. I should have did this and I should have did this. You know, my life would be so much different. But, you know, all of those decisions, good, bad, or indifferent, are the reason why I'm here now. So if I had met my 21-year-old self or 18-year-old self, I probably wouldn't listen. So I wouldn't even tell my younger self anything. So I would just, you know, I would say it, but I just know 18 Erica, 21-year-old Erica, it would go in one ear and out the other because I was grown. I thought I was smarter than everybody. And that's just kind of how I rode.
I love that. I could only imagine you at 18 or 21. You were probably a lot of fun.
No, you don't want to.
And probably way too smart for your own good, as they say. That's what they always tell us when we're too smart.
I was a trust fund kid. You just couldn't tell me nothing. Like riding around Chicago doing things I should not be doing. But that's for another day.
That explains your fandoms, though. I'm here for it. The streets. All right, Regine, what advice would you give your younger self?
Number one,
you may or may not listen to.
Save your money.
Yes, save your money, girl.
Okay.
Put your coins away. Like your grandma used to do, put under your bed, put in your dresser.
in your pillowcase. Like, you know, save your money.
Yes.
I would also say, you know, you got this. Like you got this. Just, you know, stay on the course. Stay on the course, and you're gonna get to where you want to get to. Just stay on the course and save your money. Yeah. Essentially.
Save your money, watch that credit.
Listen.
Facts. Stay on the course. I know that's right. Just keep going. That's what my line sister used to say to me. And she got her PhD last year. And that in of itself was a journey for her. She actually got her PhD in political science, and she did her dissertation on what is it, like voting patterns for Black sorority members. So that was like a cool thing. Yeah. So that was something that she used to always tell me when she was getting her PhD at Howard, was just keep going. So I thank you all so much for your time. And well, we got 8 minutes left. Let's see if there's anything else. I'm trying to see if I can milk this thing. Well, I guess that's just enough time for everybody to shout. So I guess we'll wrap up with telling folks like what projects you've got going on. And then, like shout out your social media and all that, like what upcoming events you guys might have and things like that. So, yeah, go ahead. Start with Moana.
Oh, I was going to say I'll go last. Let's see.
Well, yeah, that's true. I was going to say you could close us out. Well, I don't know if Dana's coming back.
Yeah, we should have Dana come back. But yeah, so you can find me here on the podcast every Thursday, 7 and 8:30 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and on all the podcast platforms. We are about to, so we just finished our Kickstarter for our second book, The Adventures of Nakoa and Nohea, Shadows of the Ancient. That's off to the printers. Mm-hmm. And we have our coloring book coming up next. So, everybody needs a good coloring book, whether you are a kid or an adult. It is good therapy. Yes. And nice mental health, at least for me, mental health kinds of things that you can do. So we have a Kickstarter coming up probably in the next month, still working that out, but that will be out soon. Nice. And hopefully cross fingers, we'll have some Wildcard Chronicles later this year. So yeah, I think that's all.
Nice. Cool. All right, Erica, what you got going on, girl?
Right now I am just trying to I recently wrote a essay on what is afrofuturism that should publish in about a week or so, and I actually took the time out to read Mark Derry's essay Black to the Future, because a lot of people reference it, but I don't think a lot of people actually read it. And so I wanted to do more of a deep dive analysis on how this white man came up the word with Afrofuturism. And after reading it, I was like, okay, it's a lot here. I was a little disappointed that his essay was heavily leaning on his interviews and how his interviewees did more of the heavy lifting of his essay versus him actually laying out a thorough analysis. And it's more like he just put words together like Afrofuturism and kind of like ran with it as opposed to it being a conclusion.
Right.
And I think that gets left out of the conversation when people talk about Afrofuturism, or especially when they source him for it. So yeah, that disruptive spirit again.
Yeah. Wow, that's deep. That's deep, because there's so much to Afrofuturism. It's not to say that it's not something that's useful or something that's good for the Black community, and that is something that's great for us to tap into in terms of like our creativity, science fiction. But how do we build on that in a way where it's not appropriated or watered down to this thing that's like, oh, it's just a meaningless gimmick that sounds good, it's a buzzword basically. Kind of like intersectionality. People were throwing it around, didn't know what it meant,
Yeah, and it was a little disturbing that he was like, whoa, why aren't more Black people writing sci-fi? Y'all slaves, and basically y'all should be using white supremacy as, dystopian content. And I'm like, this is problematic as hell. Like,
yeah.
He said it with his whole chest too. I'm like,
Oh my God, Lord have mercy, Erica. Yes, I want to read your blog for sure.
I'm gonna send you the link. He called us aliens. He said y'all
Yes.
basically aliens, so
Lord have mercy, child. Okay. All right. Regine, go ahead right ahead. What you got going on?
I'm currently working on a graphic novel series. The first book came out digitally 2 weeks ago, and then it came out was it yesterday? The physical copy is called Amani Rainis, Queen of Nubia, and it's about an actual Kushite queen that existed, and she's known for stopping a Roman invasion of the Sudan. She's an amazing historical figure, and it's been an honor to write her story. So book 1 is out. I'll be working on book 2 soon. I feel like there's so much, so I'm trying to get everything together. So I'll be working on some more writing projects this year. I can't talk about them yet. Also for Wink, well, we just had our quarterly magazine come out. It's the first of the year. Wink magazine, the spring issue. You can find that on our website, www.womenincomicscollective.org. Submissions are also open for our summer edition. The theme for that is noir. So we would love, folks' submissions. You can check out the guidelines also on our website. We're taking mini comics, editorial comics, prose, short stories, poetry, and cartoons. Also, we have 3 comic book festivals happening this year.
Yes.
3. Don't ask me. Yes. Things come together organically for us. So our first festival is in June. It's going to be Saturday, June 11th, and that is called Wink by King Manor. And King Manor Museum is a museum here in Queens and has a gorgeous park. So we're having an outdoor festival. In July, we're collaborating with The Door NYC. Their organization that helps young people here in New York City. And we're going to be a part of their 50th anniversary celebration. They're having a block party. There'll be a cosplay ball.
Nice.
We're doing a mini con for them. And then in August is our annual event, Wink Creative. That'll be happening at the former Mid-Manhattan Library. And that'll be a 2-day event, August 12th through the 13th. And we'll have panel discussions. We're going to have workshops. We're going to have vending. And we're also going to have 2 different cosplay showcases. So,
nice.
The summer is going to be packed.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So that's what's happening there. And so if you want to check out what we're doing over at Wink, again, the website is www.womenincomicscollective.org. You can follow us everywhere at Wink NYC. That's WINC NYC. And then if you want to check out my books and my work on Twitter, I'm at Lockett Down. That's LOCKETT down. You can also check me out on Instagram as Lockett Down Official. That's what we're doing.
Oh, no, that's right.
Well,
Thank you. Welcome back, Dana. And as for me, of course, as for us, I should say, don't forget to catch us actually next month. Well, I can't even. Can I say next month? Or should I say this April?
It's next month because
I know.
Yeah, next month officially.
30 days away.
30 days away.
HBCUCon 2022.
Yes.
April 29th through May 1st. April 29th is going to be strictly virtual events. We'll have registration open. And then Saturday and Sunday will be hybrid. It will be live and virtual. So we'll have events live streamed. There's going to be a step show. It's going to be a fashion show. We're going to have some performances lined up for you guys outdoors. It's going to be really nice, y'all. So come out. Oh, and a gaming tournament too. Smash Brothers and Tekken. If y'all want to come and battle it out, it's going to be lit.
Yes.
And thank you so much, you guys. This was great.
Of course, like I said, in the banner below, you'll see the link for HBCUCon. Once again, I'm going to shout it out. Please go to www.hbcucon.org.
Yes.
You can get your tickets there both virtually and in person. Or if you're interested in becoming a sponsor, you can contact them on their site. And you can also follow HBCUCon on IG, Facebook, and Twitter at HBCUCon. Once again, everyone, thank you so much, our panelists, for being part of today's conversation. A great way to wrap up International Women's Month. We wanted to make sure we did some powerful conversation. We did one last week with a great panel of women writers. So, of course, Regine was talking about that. Moana, you're going to have to connect her to those writers we had on last week to get them part of her project for and everything. So, and then right after this, everyone, please tune in at 8:30 p.m. We're having another panel, our International Women's Month panel. We got 4 lovely women from different backgrounds, different nationalities, and different professions that they're going to come to talk about the importance of allyship, about being an advocate and a sponsor for women, and so much more. So definitely tune in at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. That will be in less than 27 minutes. Tune back in to us either on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, that you can watch any of our next panel live on any of those platforms. Once again, ladies, thank you for joining us. Please follow all of our panelists on their social media, and definitely be on the lookout for any of their projects so you can definitely support. Once again, everyone, have a great evening, and we'll see you shortly at 8:30 p.m. for our next panel. Bye, everyone.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it cedar lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves a republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand,
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if you put Hawaii in a perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course, versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course, cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
I'm Steve Bloom. I've been a voice actor for more than 30 years, playing characters like Wolverine, Starscream, Tank Dempsey from Call of Duty.
With Bloomfox Studios, I've learned so much about myself.
Learning to breathe, to no fear, to getting ugly in front of the mic.
One of the biggest changes I've noticed, at least for me, is how much my confidence level has gone up.
Done an Eastern European video game, an e-commerce commercial, a documentary. If you're thinking about getting into voiceover, just do it. Jump in.